When thinking about this module, it became apparent that this would be the best time for me to start my career in any field that I wanted to. And for this reason, I decided to start something in photography. Due to my prior knowledge of Photoshop, I think that this will be a great way to broaden my experience and portfolio with something different. As you can see from the images displayed here, I try my best to add something different to each image. While I specialize in abstract and color, this was a great way of me learning how to use color theory. For example, here you can see that the skin has far too much orange and red. This will be something that will need to change through color balancing, but I did not see this at the time. I think this is due to my new knowledge which I gained from making these images, which has allowed me to see how I can still improve. One of the best things about starting my own business was the process of making contacts and getting confidence to promote my services online for photographers. While I spent both Christmas and Easter holiday doing photo retouching, there is still a lot I can learn about creating photos for others. As I conclude, I have learnt a lot in my brief time doing freelance Photoshop work, but the best thing I have learnt is how to work for a client and ensure that they are happy with the work that I have produced. Since I had so much fun making photos for others, I felt I would try to apply for internships doing just that. The place I most wanted to work for was Taylor James. I kept pestering them for a while, and then one day I got an email saying that I need to send them some work. This could not have been any easier due to my freelance work, and I quickly sent them a couple of my best images in my portfolio, with a detailed description of each one. After a week's time, they sent me an email saying that I got back into the second stage of the intern process, and that I am required to create an image from the CD that they will send me in the post. Once I received the CD, I was daunted by the task, and I spent a lot of time planning each step of the photo. Editing the image took me 3 full days, and as you can see, the image is worth the time, not only in the success in recreating the image they asked, but also in the skills that I have learned making it, such as advanced uses of layer masks, the pen tool, and color balancing. It is evident from looking at this image how far I have quickly progressed from my freelance work. After sending the pictures, I waited patiently for a reply. What I didn't know was that it would take 3 months to review my image. I got several emails over this time, apologizing for not getting back a reply so quickly because they've been extremely busy. As a result, I was very disappointed to find out this week that I cannot do the internship, as they are not able to offer me an internship at this time. This really brought my confidence down. But when I looked back at the image and what I had created in a few days, and what I have learned from that, I am still glad I tried. And maybe what's most important is that from this, I learned to properly deal with rejection in the industry. On the wall outside Creative Futures, I noticed that Blitz Games were doing an open day. Since this was a great way to start my career in games, I immediately applied for a 3D artist position, where they said they needed me to make them a scene that I created using a 3D package. As I have been using Autodesk Maya in my spare time, I decided to spend parts of my Christmas holidays creating this image for Blitz Games. While I have some basic skills of Maya, this image taught me a lot about how to rig characters, create buildings, and render light scenes, while also boosting my knowledge of 3D modeling and rendering. After I sent this image, I got an email a few weeks later saying how I was able to go to the open day. After this, I decided that during this time, before the event, I would create several more images to show the 3D artists at the game studio, in order to get feedback. As you can see, these images have improved in quality from the image that I sent to Blitz Games, as they show a better understanding of lighting, textures and modeling, which before making these images I would not have been able to do. Going to Blitz Games was great, as I learned a lot about seeing the professionals. While they gave me some positive feedback on my creative style, the best feedback I got was the negative things, where some of the staff said I needed to spend more time learning traditional art theory, from forms to shapes and colour. They advised me to learn drawing, or maybe even try life drawing. Overall, I learnt a lot through Blitz Games, which I know will always become valuable in my 3D artwork and in the future I decided to make a backup plan and apply for a small game company in Coventry. One day, I got a phone call from Digital 2.0 saying that I had 3 hours to make a 3D model for them, based on some concepts they gave me. While this took me by surprise, I managed to make the image for them and sent it off. In a few minutes, I got another phone call saying that I had an internship and that I could start right away on the 24th of March. The first week was about making game concepts and mechanics for the group. We first used a company forum to post our ideas for the game, which I cannot really talk about due to my contract on the game. I also met the other interns, who were all about graphic design and illustration, and quickly got to work with them. I quickly learned how to work in a team with others that I do not know. I know this was a really good and desired skill within the industry, so to be able to show and display that I have worked in a team project within the game industry will definitely put me in front of others who do not have this experience. As the 3D model of the group, it was my task to produce characters, items, and buildings. At first this was hard, as we did not have many concepts to start on, but I used my own initiative and produced this temple and warrior character. As you can see, my texturing skills are still limited, but I hope to improve over the following weeks here. After a few weeks we had a big pile of concept art for me to transform into 3D images. What references have taught me is how to produce more detailed images. While as my own work has progressed, my 3D models have become not only better, but look more like the original concepts themselves, such as this head reflector. After making the models, I needed to learn how to produce good textures, and I knew I would need to learn advanced UV mapping to achieve this. I spent a week practicing how to use these UV maps, and as you can see, here are a few good examples of what a UV map looks like and how it is used for a model. By using my prior knowledge and skills in Photoshop, I was able to use the program to produce these UV maps for the characters, which I think have improved my work drastically. Overall, I have learnt too many skills during this internship to talk about them all here, but I have learnt a great deal about teamwork, how I can help that team, and how I can use my own initiative to keep my work going. I have always wanted to learn how to use the software, as it is one of the core industry 3D sculpting packages available. I started with tutorials and saw that my knowledge of other 3D modeling packages helped me a lot to move me forward quickly in ZBrush. The first model I made in ZBrush was this sword. As you can see, there is a big difference in quality from these images and the images I made during Blitz games. That's because these have a huge amount of polygons in them, meaning that it's easier to add such details, while it is much harder inside Maya. I have found that by taking up drawing, I really have learnt a lot about shapes and how I understand them. This is clearly evident in the model of the head made in ZBrush. These starting images show how I created the general form of the head, while these next ones illustrate the detail added to the model. Overall, I have learnt a lot during ZBrush, such as how to create the head and how a large polygon count can help to create more detailed work. But the best skills I have learned to help me in my 3D modeling have been the improvement of my traditional art skills and drawing. To conclude, I cannot truly explain how much I have learned in this module, from preparing scripts and short films for New York to working for a team and gaining confidence in myself and my work. The best way to show you how far I have come is through the differences in my work from the start to now. My 3D skills have improved in such a small amount of time. I really feel I am on the right path to getting that dream graduate job, and it's thanks to all of this training books, this module, and myself for putting in the effort to find my own work.